It's your show.
Thank you. It only took you 27 episodes. Hello and welcome back to RugbyPass Offload with me, Christina Mahon. And today I'm joined by Simon Zebo and Dylan Hartley. We'll also be joined a little bit later in the show by England Six Nations hero Shauna Brown. But before the guys join me, I'm delighted to catch up with one of the most famous Rugby Sevens players of all time and leading try scorer in the Rugby Sevens history, Dan Norton, to preview the upcoming Olympics and his fallout with the IRFU or the ORFU. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining me. So look, we have to start off with your incredible fallout with the ORFU last year. So after 10 years of service, they literally ripped up your contract and you found yourself jobless overnight. So can you take us back to like how you were told that news?
Yeah, so again, it was kind of a very stressful time. So again, the pandemic kicked in as everybody else has felt the kind of that force of it over the last year or so. We just came back from Vancouver, so at kind of end of March, start of March time. And then, yeah, there was obviously meetings around what was happening with the pandemic, us being at home for kind of the foreseeable future, kind of we thinking it was 3 or 4 weeks. And then off the back of that, we then started having conversations because we had Conor O'Shea come in and he was looking at restructuring the whole Sevens program and taking potentially back to what it was years ago with kind of 15 guys coming in for a little bit, training and playing and then going back out rather than to standalone Sevens players solely. And then obviously over the next kind of 3 or 4 months, we was having weekly meetings and updates around the pandemic and yeah, the direction that Sevens was going in. And then obviously then the Olympics gets cancelled. There's some conversations around actually you've only got 2 or 3 months left in your contract. We're still working out what's happening into next year with tournaments. And then you can kind of feel around that point from the conversations, the messaging you was getting that it wasn't looking promising, it wasn't looking positive. And yeah, there was a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of kind of just thinking what if, and they never gave us the definitive answer until probably kind of the start of August, kind of just before our contracts ended, and they actually said, yeah, we're not going to renew a lot of the contracts. So yeah, it was a tough pill to swallow. And yeah, like I said, we just felt pretty disappointed in the way it was handled over those kind of 3 or 4 months leading into that period.
And was it a case where you all kind of told together, or were you all, or was it like we told on an individual basis? How did the meeting kind of come about?
Yeah, so I think again the rise of Zoom as being probably because of COVID, and yeah, all our meetings were done over Zoom because we were all over the country. So yeah, we were told over Zoom that it was going to happen, and then from there we were all then given individual meetings around our kind of what were the next steps and how our contract would be ended. So yeah, it was by that point we were kind of at a position where we were just kind of done with it all because there was so much back and forth and the highs and lows of being told yes it may be happening and then there's no Olympics and there's potentially the season being postponed. There were so many more variables and it was kind of a point where we just make a decision, get it over and done with, and kind of, you know, it's just kind of what happened. So yeah.
And did you feel like it was almost as if, you know, your livelihood was ripped from underneath you all over the space of a Zoom call, or did you kind of have a feeling that it was coming, say, from the months leading up to it?
Yeah, I think it was probably the writing was on the wall, but it's one of those things being professional athletes, you know, you don't really want to admit it. You kind of can see where the world was heading. Again, you know, this time last year, March, April time, nobody really knew what was going to be happening with COVID. Nobody really knew the full force it had on the world. So yeah, what happened for us was pretty tough for us to swallow. But I think in retrospect to everybody else in the world, you know, there's a lot of other stuff going on. You know, we were lucky we had our health. So, you know, that's the main thing I look back on now. At the time, it was pretty disappointing. We were pretty gutted. We felt we'd been hard done by, and we probably were to a degree. But I think looking back now and having time to actually swallow that pretty tough pill, you know, yeah, there's worse things in the world, and we're lucky we're now in a position to be back doing Sevens. And as you can see, I'm actually in my car parked up to go and train in a bit. So yeah, we're lucky enough that we're back now doing Sevens with the help of the National Lottery.
And aside from, I suppose, the ORFU, did any businesses kind of step in to privately help and fund the Sevens program?
Yeah, so I think the nice warming part of that was when we were going through these tough times, there were a lot of support from the external kind of fans and supporters as well. And you know, we ran a kind of Just Giving kind of support page, which kind of got amazing traction. Again, it got amazing media kind of reach, but also showcased like how important the sport is as well, and how you know, how important it is to keep that sport alive. And that was great. And from that, I think this has helped with the conversations around where we are today with the National Lottery. And, you know, it wasn't just English guys. There's obviously the Scottish guys and the Welsh guys in the same position as us, or being put in the same position. So, yeah, it's nice that, again, like I said earlier, we're in a position now where we can be back fighting for a gold medal, and in a position where we can be really, you know, putting ourselves in the best position to actually come away with something special from the Olympics.
You're just about to go back into training with the Sevens, but you did sign a short-term contract with London Irish. Are you still with them, or is that finished up now?
Yeah, no, so that was just a short-term kind of 3-month deal, kind of injury cover for what's like in the hollow. Obviously with the season restarting kind of the back end of the summer, so kind of July, August time last year, they had a few injury issues. So I was local, I wasn't doing any sevens. So I came and signed with them for 3 months, which I really enjoyed. I don't think I really showcased how good I could actually be on a 15s field, potentially a bit of time and just kind of, you know, I carried a bit of a niggle, but yeah, I think I enjoyed it. The boys were really good, and it's nice to see the guys now doing pretty well. So yeah, it's really nice to see that. So yeah, it was a nice experience and nice to get a try in the corner as well. May have made a few mistakes while I was playing, but no, it was a good experience nonetheless.
And what was it like kind of rejoining a professional 15s club setup after what you had about an 11-year break with the sevens and stuff?
Yeah, it was pretty weird. So my previous experience was with Bristol, so kind of 2009, 2010, kind of just doing 15s at that time, full time. So yeah, it was nice to be back in that mold of prepping for a weekend game, really, you know, honing in on the strengths and weaknesses of other teams, and, you know, learning from the games the previous weekend and rolling into week on week. And that was a really nice experience. Again, it wasn't too far from where I live, so it all kind of worked really well. But like I said, I don't think I really showcased how good a sevens player could be playing 15. So that's probably my only real downfall. But again, it is nice to now see some guys who did do sevens do round of 15s as well. So the guys at Bath, so Rory McConaughey and Warren Muir as well.
And what's your best memory of playing 15s professionally?
I think probably scoring is pretty cool. I think just being in that environment, being, you know, I only played the 2 games against Saracens and Harlequins, and I think it was just nice both times just being in the mix and just fighting up with the guys of London Irish. Again, I didn't have a massive involvement, but it was nice to be a part of that for that short period. And I think I took some things away and learned some awesome things as well. So I'm looking forward to hopefully showcasing that over the next kind of the remaining golden years of my career.
Well, you just mentioned there about try scoring, but obviously in the sevens, like, you guys are notorious for these ridiculous celebrations and the way you guys score your tries. So obviously that's a very different case in the 15s. Did you bring in like a bit of your sevens flair, or did you very quickly adjust back to the way of the 15 setup?
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a balancing act around kind of getting my skill set into a bit of space as well. So obviously I'm trying to create as much space as I can for myself and for my teammates, but again, there's limited opportunities. But yeah, I did get an opportunity to run a little bit. But like I said, that I've probably missed a few opportunities that I would probably back myself to naturally get a bit more success out of it. But yeah, no, it is nice when to tick off the box. I think my debut for Gloucester was back in 2008-9, and I got all of about 3 seconds chasing a penalty kick. So yeah, it's a nice one to get back in the mix. But yeah, it would have been nicer to get in a different environment, and obviously with fans there as well would have been incredible. I think that'll probably be a different level completely.
Yeah. And obviously just on Gloucester, you started your career there, and you were among such legends as Mike Tyndall, Ollie Barkley and Ian Balshaw. So how incredible was that experience?
Yeah, so obviously when I was going through academy 1920, it's all I really knew, and that was kind of that journey you're preparing for. So again, the likes of in the academy with Johnny May, Henry Trinder, Charlie Sharples, some really cool names who've gone to play for England. And you know, we had a really good academy and a really good first team, so it was always going to be tough. And those guys, obviously, we were all rated the same, and then those guys progressed really nicely, and I'm proud to see them doing really well for England now, and etc. So yeah, it was nice to be learning off some great names like you just mentioned, and I think that only adds to the whole experience of being in the academy. But yeah, for me, I'm happy with where my path went. Completely different to some of those other guys, but I'm happy to still be charging around at the tender age of 33.
And look, we ask everyone this when they come on, but what was your Gloucester initiation? If you can remember back all those years ago.
I was never involved. I was only ever in the academy, so I never went on the tour to the dreaded tour to Portugal. So obviously those guys had their heads shaved, they were down in milk, etc. So yeah, it was nice to actually hear from the other guys. Obviously, we're not being nice to be there, but at the same time, it was nice to hear from the other guys the experience they went through. And yeah, like I said, it's been cool to see those guys kind of flourish within that environment as well.
And what about with the sevens boys? Are there any initiations there, or?
Yeah, there are, but I don't think it's probably worth explaining now. So yeah, so obviously the standard ones around kind of drinking and kind of a few different games, but there's nothing really standalone which we do every time. We tried bringing in a bog wash, so you kind of do a headstand with your head down the toilet and then flush it a few times. That's kind of the initiation, kind of like a christening in a way. So that's probably the furthest it goes, but yeah, nothing too crazy, to be fair. Generally it's just about going out, enjoying a few drinks and just being together as a team, and just the younger guys or the other guys involved just kind of doing their bit, singing a song, standard stuff really. Nothing too crude. Well,
oh jeez. Well, the bog wash thing just sounded a bit ridiculous. I feel like that's something that you see in like every American movie, is so like a bully just putting someone's head down the toilet and flushing it. So
yeah, I don't think it's not, well, we don't see it as bullying, but maybe the other guys who've had it done over time will probably say it differently. But yeah, time will tell.
Oh God. Well, look, GB had such a great Olympic campaign in Rio up until the last game. So does that manner of defeat kind of go down as one of your biggest regrets?
Yeah, I think it is up there. I was thinking earlier about the whole kind of journey of getting there. So obviously, you know, you're playing 6 games over a weekend. You're playing in the biggest sporting environment. It was an amazing experience. I think I hold very, very highly in that kind of regards. But yeah, losing the final, being so close yet so far, does cut quite deeply. I think it took me and a few other boys about 3 years before we could even watch the final back. So it's one of those things you kind of just happened, and you kind of just like, where we weren't good enough on the day. And there's obviously some amazing learnings that we can take from it. But at the same time, like when you're playing against a rampant Fijian team, you have to be literally 110%, and we weren't. And we were a little bit, I wouldn't say we were flat, we were prepared for it, but I think you can't take away the fact of the emotional roller coaster it is playing sevens. You're playing for 40 minutes. You know, we beat Argentina in the quarterfinal last play in a tight game, one score. We beat South Africa 7-5 in the semi-final to get to the final. Again, that was a full-on battle against those guys, just winning by literally by 2 points. So yeah, there was a massive emotional roller coaster of the ups and downs of just getting there. So I think that drained us more than we probably thought. But saying that, obviously Fiji were obviously playing, you know, with their country behind them, and obviously sevens are so big there. So even though it was nice to get a medal, it would have been nice obviously to get a gold, and they've done so well to get that. So yeah, credit to them, and credit to the English Fijian Ben Ryan as well.
Well, look, I mean, you are going back to Tokyo this year, so hopefully you can do one up on your silver medal from the last time and go for gold this time. But just on the sevens, I suppose one of the great things about it is being able to travel to some of the coolest places in the world. I've also been told that there's no party like a sevens party, and that things can get pretty loose. So like, what has been the best city for a night out with you?
I don't know what you're on about. I think it's all pretty tame, to be fair. Normally we literally just go and have a few drinks. I mean, go and have a bit of food and go to bed. But no,
I feel like that's definitely not. I have friends who play for the Irish setup, so I'm like, that's a lie.
I think it is true. Like that, if you are into that, there are some amazing venues and things you can do. So I think like things like going out in Wellington was amazing. So my first tournament, 2009. Gloucester boy, fresh out of Gloucester kind of thing, going to the other side of the world, flying 36 hours to get to Auckland, to Wellington, and then losing in the final to New Zealand, winning in the final against New Zealand, going out 40,000 people in like one place. It was like off the chain, mental. Like first experience of sevens was like quite eye-opening, amazing experience, winning, going out there. But yeah, I think there's all the different places have amazing qualities on and off the field. Off the field, probably Vegas is pretty cool, obviously for the exact reason of it being Vegas. Being able to play there and then go out is pretty cool. So it's like obviously see the San Diego guys at the MLR have been probably enjoying that as well. And Vancouver is probably were top 3, top 4 kind of venues to go out and play and also enjoy a bit of a night out as well. It's kind of a cool place, and yeah, some cool bars as well.
The second last question. So your old teammate Christian Wade is currently trying to make it in the NFL. So have you ever been tempted to hop over the pond and give that a go, or maybe now with the MLR, would you consider that?
Yeah, again, I played in Bermuda in the tens in the series at kind of the back end of last year, which was amazing. And obviously there's a lot of MLR teams and their MLR boys playing there, so I've kind of been watching that now, and it is nice to watch it. I think it may be a bit too far for me and my family. Again, if I was younger, then yeah, it'd be an amazing opportunity to go and explore that part of the world. But yeah, I think Wadey's doing really well there, and it was amazing to see one of his first touchdown was like his first touch when he's playing for the Bills kind of last year. So I've been enjoying following him and watching him become more and more American. But yeah, it is nice to see him doing well. Yeah, I wish there was a chance when I was younger, but nothing really materialised.
Last question to finish off. So what would be your message to the RFU and to the rugby public to help save the wonderful game of sevens?
I don't think my message to the RFU would be worth sharing. But no, I think for the sport of sevens, if you watch the Olympics and you see the power it has on a country like Fiji, the power the sport has on male and female sports, it's so powerful. And it's not just about playing at the top level, it's an amazing development tool for young players and players alike as well. It's got a nice social and professional environment as well. And yeah, it's everything that we play sport for. It's teamwork, it's enjoyment after as well. So I definitely feel it's something that should stay, and there's definitely a place for it within the modern sport of rugby as well.
Absolutely. And Dan, I just have to say, I did not realize what age you were, because I would have always just said the sevens is quite a young man sport. So it's a total testament to you and credit to you that you're still doing it after all these years. So fair play.
But look, I avoid contact like the plague as well. So that's probably my biggest way of staying injury free as well.
Oh God. Well, thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with me, and the best of luck in Tokyo.
No worries. Thank you ever so much for your time.
Guys, thanks for joining us. You missed a great interview with Dan Norton a little bit earlier, but obviously it's great to have you both back. Dylan, very good to see your face again.
Brilliant. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I feel like a guest on my own show.
That's not what you just said a minute ago. It's a pity we didn't get that recorded. Anyway.
It's your show. Yeah. You're the host. I'm the guest. Thank you for having me.
Christina.
No, Zeebs, obviously we have to chat about your move back home to Munster next season. And I know the last time you were on, look, Brian and I pretty much confirmed it without you confirming it. But now that it is out there, can you tell us how that move came about?
Yeah, well, you know how contract situations go, and how I suppose COVID has delayed things a little bit for clubs and their finances and things like that to get in order. So yeah, it was just a little bit longer than normal, but very happy that I got over the line, and very, very excited to go back home and play for my province again.
And have you spoken to Munster about their club ambitions for the next couple of seasons?
Yeah, well, I spoke to Johan and Stephen Larkham a couple of weeks ago. Just potentially, there was potentially the opportunity could come about, and we talked about how it would be for me coming back, and how excited they were, how good, they obviously have an amazing squad with a lot of youth blended with experience. So yeah, it's just, it's not same old, but when I was there last, the club was incredibly ambitious, as you can imagine. It's top table of European rugby, and that's where they expect to be, year in, year out. And I didn't need any assurances at all on how ambitious they are or where they want to go. And yeah, it's just about me coming back now and hopefully adding as much as I can to the group and seeing where we can go next season.
And I know your deal was part funded by the RFU, so I am guessing that Andy Farrell played a part in that. But how big a part did he play in getting that deal over the line?
Yeah, those things actually are quite unknown to the player, because you have your agent who speaks on your behalf with club or country or whatever. And I actually don't know, so it's a tricky one. But you know how things are with COVID. Clubs are under a lot of stress and pressure financially. So yeah, I don't know how big or how small a role the RFU played, but I was just grateful it got over the line. Yeah.
Well, they obviously wanted
community rugby in Limerick's going to take a downturn. All funding for community projects is gone.
Not at all. Not at all. I'd say they're okay. They're okay.
Hey, I saw like a brief stuff from Racing, like the social stuff, like full support of your move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like how cool is that, having that sort of positivity behind a move?
Yeah, it's fantastic. They've been so good to me, over the past 3 years. And once I let them know that I was leaning in the direction of returning home, they were unbelievably supportive. And they media had been asking them lots of questions about what I was doing and things like that, of that nature. And they would come to me first and say, what do you want us to say, or do you want us to hold off, etc., etc. So they've been unbelievable and very receptive. They understand that Munster's my home and my family are all there, and I just found that this time was right at this stage of my career to go back, and they were very supportive. So it's great.
I just think it's quite refreshing to see three parties all happy. Player,
it's unusual.
Club on one end, club on the other, and everyone's kind of happy. It's maybe they could share, or we could share that model going forward. We could have a whole lot of happier people. Yeah,
it was good. It was good because we had a really good relation. Well, we have a really good relationship. Me and the club here at Racing, the coaching staff and the president are really easy to get on with. They know how I operate. I know how they operate, and it's always been very positive. Every day coming into work, it's been just what I expected and probably more. It's been a dream come true, literally, to get to play over here, and they've been great in facilitating that, and great and receptive of me going back home as well. So it worked out really well.
I'm sure you'll be back for the World Cup, mate. Couple of years.
Well, that does bring me on to my next question, because has there been any chat about your future involvement in the national squad? Like, did that must have played a part in the decision to kind of come home, did it?
Obviously every player wants to play for their country, and
can I interject quickly?
Yeah.
If the Irish Rugby Union are funding your move home, surely there's no denying it. There must be a case that they're interested in you playing for Ireland.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, because you never know.
Is just the penny just dropping now, Zeebs?
Zeebs, I think the last time we were on, you actually explained to me that it's not a centralized contract; they're just part funding it. So it might be a little bit different, but I mean, I would have taken that the writing's potentially on the wall.
I suppose, yeah, it has to be, I suppose, a bit positive, all right, that they're coming in to help get the deal over the line, but that's no guarantee of anything. I'm first and foremost, I'm going back to contribute and help in whichever way I can to Munster Rugby, and if more leads on from that, great. And if not, Munster Rugby is my immediate goal once this season finishes here at Racing. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how the body holds up and how my form is and everything like that. But yeah, objective number one is try and contribute as best I can to Munster.
So I'm so delighted to see you.
Hi, Shauna, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, champ. Yeah, you champ. Stop it. 3 times in a row. Stop it. Hang on. Do you know the England women's just won it 3 times in a row? And I thought that was really impressive until I saw the stat that they're actually chasing. One of their former teams won it 7 times in a row. So you've got some work to do, Shauna.
All right.
No way.
Keep
just there to keep you humble. Well, Shauna, thank you so much for joining us today. And like Dylan and Zeebs have just said, congratulations on winning the Six Nations title again over the weekend. It seemed to be a very physical game against France. So how's the body feeling now?
It's 3 days later and I'm still hurting, but it just goes to show what kind of game it was. It is literally like running into brick walls. And when you watch it back and you think, why did the backs do this to us? They're literally telling us to keep running. Like, they can see we're running into brick walls and they want us to keep doing it. But I guess that's our job, and if that's what they want us to do, that's what we've got to do at the time.
Absolutely. And did you guys get a chance to blow off some steam and celebrate the title in the hotel on Saturday?
Not particularly, no, which I guess wouldn't come as a surprise because we're still very much in the bubble, because we're still playing a game against France on Friday night. So we're all still in the hotel. When we got back, it was literally just being outside, because it means we can all sort of sit around each other and under blankets, a few songs, a little bit of dancing, a couple of beers and ciders, but no madness, nothing to report, like nothing to write home about.
Now, I heard a rumor that steps had a big part to play in the celebrations.
Steps? No
Steps,
way.
Yeah,
Can
so
you
when I say
elaborate?
we were dancing, it was very much all the old school routine dances, and it's Leanne Riley, scrum half. She loves all of it, and she knows all the moves to all those sort of cheesy pop songs. So it was just something to try and get people a little bit buzzing, really, because it was a bit flat. So it's just to try and get people up on their feet and doing something together, rather than everyone just sort of sitting on their separate tables. And yeah, steps 5, 6, 7, 8. And we were trying to learn Jerusalema, still working on that one. And the other one was electric slide. And I think we nailed that. But there's no video evidence, as you can expect. So you just have to take my word for it.
Oh my God, I'd say that was a bit of crack now. Well, look, you didn't start playing rugby properly until you were 25, but you've had a fascinating career. So from competing for England in the Commonwealth Games in the shot put, to becoming a fireman, to a professional deep sea diver. So how did you go from all of that to becoming an English rugby idol?
So say firefighter, because I'm not a man.
Yes, I was like, is it a fire
Christina.
person or?
Just firefighter, then everyone can do it.
And you like some sort of like gas boiler engineer as well?
Yeah, British Gas installation engineer. Yeah.
Oh wait, that's
I
on
saw
CV.
it on your Twitter bio as well. Sometimes a superhero too. Like, you have a very impressive CV.
That's incredible.
I think I just get bored easily. Really, it's not anything too fancy. And when I get involved in something, I get fully involved in it, and I want to like be the best at it, go to the top. Because even when I did start rugby, it was literally just rocked up to my local club at Medway and thought, like, I'd sort of finished with athletics, fell out of love with that, made it to the Commonwealth Games and wanted to chill out a bit. And so I chose rugby. And straight away I was just like, well, what, training once a week? Well, what do I do the other 6 days of the week? Like, what I felt I needed to move up. And so I had half a season with Medway. And then in the summer of 2016, I sent an email, asked Harlequins if I could go and join them for a training session. And pretty much, if people don't tell me to come back, I'll just, if they don't tell me to stay away, I will come back. And it got to the point where one of the coaches said, oh, you're back again, are you? Like, a Harlequins. I went, well, yeah, nobody told me not to. Just went, okay, fair enough. Soon as you're here, like, you might as well carry on. So it's the it's my sort of mindset and attitude of, like, if I want to do something, I'll go out and do it, and I'll find ways around it of making things happen. But I do get bored easily, and I need to be entertained, and sometimes it's just about keeping my mind entertained.
I was thinking, now you're a full-time professional, right? Are you getting bored just being a rugby player then? No, because you know what I mean?
Definitely.
You used to train in the evenings in your downtime as a hobby and as a passion, whereas now it's your job. Do you find yourself just like twiddling your thumbs around the house all day?
Yes, it is hard, and I find things to keep me busy, because up until September of last year, I was still, even though a full-time professional with rugby, I was still employed in the fire service. So I still kept sort of my foot in the door with the fire service, working with them and being full-time rugby player. From September, I'm now on a sabbatical from the fire service, so it's just rugby. And yeah, I do struggle with not having anything else to sort of look forward to. So that's when I kind of make my own work and things like I spend a lot of time in the garden, a lot of time doing DIY, like podcasts, talking to different sort of journalists, or doing speeches, guest speaking, etc. So I just like to try and keep myself busy. But yeah, I couldn't just solely entirely do rugby and come home from rugby and talk about rugby, because I also don't live in a rugby house or rugby family. So when I come home, like, nobody knows anything about rugby, which is perfect for me, because I can just get on with life as such.
That's the way you want it. Yeah, I like that.
How big a role have you found that the professional contract kind of played in allowing yourself and your teammates to prosper over the last couple of years?
I think it's been huge, and it sort of set the standard for what other nations need to get on board with. And obviously there's a lot of politics and financial reasons around it, but it's just like, why is it taking so long? Like, surely they see now it's inevitable, so why not just get on board? And like I say, I'm not obviously behind the background of it all, but like, nations need to come on board, because as you can see, like, when we play, I think you can tell we're professionals and how much time we get to spend together and how well we know each other. But for me, the biggest thing of being professional is the amount of rest. So we don't train an awful lot more than we did when it was just evening sessions. It's just having the space and the rest in between, and having the time to sit down and have meetings and go through like a lot more detail. Whereas when we were training in the evening at like sort of only Quins, it would be finish work, get to training, like 10 minutes to get on the pitch, train, get home, hopefully be home in bed for like 11 p.m. to start my working day again the next day. So it's just a lot more time that I have to rest and sort of go through detail and have time for each other. But we need the other nations to get on board as soon as possible.
Yeah,
100%.
so much so that like your AP15s, you've got girls from Wales, Scotland. I'm not sure about Ireland, but playing in the English domestic league, eh? So I'm looking at you, Wales. You can't be Six Nations men's champions and then not have a professional women's team. You know what I mean? You've got to come to the party. Yeah. What about Ireland? Who's funding that, Christina?
It's tough in the Irish setup. The women's sevens are paid, but I
know where the Simon Zebo money came from now.
Stop, no.
No, stop, no. No, but Shauna, like, and it's fair, because I mean, like, if you ever think you have a busy day, go and speak to one of the Irish 15s women's players, because they'll be like up at the crack of dawn doing this, that, and the other. They're doctors, they're working on farms, and they're going to go do another job, and then they'll go train in the afternoon or the evening, or they have to drive a couple of hours to go train with their provincial team. Like, it's madness. So yeah, I'd be fully backing the professional contracts for sure, because it's not fair.
It's mental, isn't it? How much revenue they get? Yeah, I don't understand how they're not professional in Ireland. It's mad. The sacrifices they make is the exact same as the men's team. You know, I don't.
But surely, like, investment in the women's game in any union, you're only going to drive like shirt sales, bums on seats. Mm-hmm. You're only going to generate more revenue as long as you invest in it and invest in it like fully. Don't just kind of like, what's the word with like greenwashing? You know, where you pretend to be eco-friendly, but you're not really. Don't just do it like a little bit. Just go full on, and it will pay dividends down the line. You know what I mean? If it's a money and financial decision, man, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Go on, girls.
You go into, if you invest in a business of any sort, you put a lot of money in early on, and you expect to get returns in maybe like 10, 15 plus years. You don't put money in and expect a return in a couple of weeks. So like, what's the difference with women's rugby? And a lot of people don't realise how many nations aren't professional and how many girls are working 8, 9, 10-hour shifts and going to play rugby in the evenings. And yet people on their high horse will sort of sit and watch and say, oh, women's rugby isn't very good, the standard's not very good. Like, not knowing the whole story. And it's so unfair to judge women on male standards when men and boys have been able to play rugby, I don't know, since the age of 5, and you think they've played a training session, 2 training sessions a week, every week since the age of 5. Every Saturday or Sunday they've had a game, they've had a full team. Like, in school they've had a rugby team, but yet you go to, as a girl, you'd be lucky to get sort of 5, 6 people to a training session maybe once a week. And then the amount of women who on a Sunday wouldn't have enough players to actually play a game. So then you're looking at lending players, and then you can only do friendlies because you haven't got enough women to field a team. And like, how many games have not happened because there's not enough women, and like, women are not playing as much rugby. So it's highly unfair to compare men and women's rugby, even at top level.
Yeah. You know, my son now, he has a clear pathway if he wants to play rugby. You know, he knows that when he grows up, if he wants to play rugby, he can be a professional rugby player. You know, in Ireland, we don't have that. If my daughter decides to play rugby, you know, she won't be able to say, I want to be a professional rugby player. You know, I think that's such a shame. And I think, you know, the professional game in Ireland definitely needs to come in. Christina, you're at the forefront of that, so you need to speak to the powers that be. My daughter needs to be playing professional rugby.
You could do stuff as well, Simon, as like a male international, even just advertising, like saying congratulations, England women.
Oh,
whoa. I don't think that's going to happen.
Don't get carried away now, Shauna.
Dylan, though, we can use Dylan here.
Men's, women's, it doesn't matter. Supporting a different country.
Not going to happen. I'm all for my daughter playing professional rugby.
Coming third. Ireland came third. What did they come in the men's, you know?
That's
talking about, you talk about your women, we talk about ours, but yeah, just advertising a little bit of women's rugby.
Yeah, absolutely. Every little helps, and I try to go to any games that I can, schedules allow. I'll be a full support of the women's game. I actually really enjoy it. I think it's very entertaining. We've come across, when we've come out here to Marcoussis, where the French men's team trained, the French lady or the French women's team trained there as well. And you've seen them training and stuff like that. An incredibly talented group. I suppose that's French rugby in general, they're crazy talented people. But yeah, I'd love to be able to take my daughter down that pathway if she decided to, so yeah, you're dead right. Every little helps in promoting it and getting professional rugby in as many countries as possible for the women's game, for sure.
Yeah, like we had Maggie on last week, and I think the thing is, it's like the more that these young girls see adults, these women on the TV playing that, the more like realistic a path it becomes. So it really is. It's just, I don't know, something needs to be done. But I think the fact that it was the Six Nations was shown at a separate time to the men's, it didn't, I think it was bar one game. I don't think it clashed with any of the men's games. I thought that was amazing. And that needs to be kept up now. Like that's the bar that they've set. So they have to continue that. And yeah, hopefully the global calendar can kind of just grow and complement both sides as well.
Shauna, how was that? Like just from the outside looking in at because your tournament was postponed, rescheduled, reformatted to sit now. But in terms of you guys being the only game of rugby on internationally in that weekend, it's surely an easier decision for people to watch. But I was also thinking this, like, Zebes, I'm throwing my mind back 2 years now when I used to play. This time of year is the best time to play. Like the ground firms up, the sun's out. It almost becomes that summer sport. Yeah. And when we get crowds back, surely, Shauna, like this time of year is far better to play Six Nations in.
Yeah, I'm a big fan for all the reasons you spoke about. Like, even as a rugby fan, if you predominantly watch men's rugby and it's on at the same time, you're going to choose to watch men's rugby. Like, that's completely fair enough. That's what you follow. And there's only so much rugby you can watch of a weekend. But this way, it's sort of spreading it out. So you can watch rugby for sort of, 8-12 weeks in a row of different types of rugby as well. You don't necessarily want to watch the same teams over and over again. So there's just a lot more choice and variety around. But then in terms of like this time of year or the weather, honestly, make rugby a summer sport in general, I say. But again, it goes back to finances and sales. And when we have double headers with the men, sometimes if we play in after them, like it's cold, playing a double header in December and January, I'm not going to want to sit outside for sort of 4 hours watching rugby. But if the sun's out, even if you don't want to watch rugby, think, I might as well stay, like get another beer. We'll just sit down and it happens to be some more rugby on, like, because how many times you've finished watching a game of rugby when you're there and you think, is that it? Like I could stay for a bit longer. So yeah, having the sun out and playing in it just makes everyone happier. And I'm a big fan of having it this time of year. And we could have a barbecue after the game. It was just a lot nicer. And I would love rugby to be this time of year, full stop.
You're a big believer in stripping back the filters and the misleading Instagram model content, which can be very negative, and showing the next generation of young girls what a professional athlete looks and plays and acts like. But what are the biggest challenges that you see young girls facing on social media?
For me, it's what they see. It is so filtered and so protected. And like talking about it with my friends who are my age, I'm 31, talking about it with friends who are my age, like we actually feel sorry for sort of 16 to 18-year-olds now. I wouldn't want to be 16 now, because what you see, and especially with lockdown and not seeing people in real life that often, you think that's real, and you see one picture on Instagram that gets, I don't know, a couple of thousand likes, but then you don't see the 25, 30, 40, 50 photos that they've taken previous to that to get the perfect shot, or how much time this person spent on their phone to get that perfect shot, how many edits, how many filters on it. Like, it's just not real life. And like, I like to try and promote, like, obviously everyone likes a nice picture, you want a nice picture, but you also need to put sort of not the bad side, but the imperfect side, and reminding people that even us as rugby players, we're human. Like we get rubbish facials when we're playing certain games, and like it's just funny to joke about it and remind people that not everyone is slim or sort of got six packs or got a nice toned skin or whatever it is. Like, if you want to wear makeup, that's fine, but if you don't want to wear makeup, that's also fine. And it's like, some people again will jump on girls who play with makeup on, but whilst I wouldn't, that's their choice, and they're empowered to make their choice because that's how they want to play. But it's not like one or the other. You do it because you want to do it, not because it's how you see other people doing it. But it's the promotion of when people are influencers by profession. I'm like, what are you famous for? You're literally famous for spending a lot of time on your phone.
Yeah.
And you think, I'm a content creator, and you think, are you joking? Like you literally just spend hours on your phone, and then you sort of see their backgrounds and you think, what are your priorities in life? Like, do you have any family? Like, do you actually have any interests, or are you just like taking pictures of yourself in the sun? Like, I just don't get why anybody would want to do that, apart from maybe like making money from adverts. But even then, it's just like my moral compass wouldn't let me sort of do those kind of things and sort of put certain pictures out there, or maybe advertise certain products. Like, I'm still a human and I'm a rugby player, but like I have a moral compass, and I very much like want to let people know my moral compass.
No,
I suppose it's like comparison is the thief of joy, isn't it? And if you're sitting there constantly comparing yourself to something that's not achievable or not real, like, it makes yourself feel, or especially young kids, you know what I mean? It makes them feel a certain way. I deleted all my stuff 2 weeks ago. Deleted all my social media off my phone, and do you know what? It's probably not good because I'll sign back in and repost this for RugbyPass, obviously. But it felt like the penny dropped, and it was like. You feel enlightened. It's almost like you're asleep behind the wheel. Like, you got this dirty habit of just having it on your phone. And like, I don't know. I just think kids these days, it's poisonous, man. It's toxic because they don't know another way, especially if they're growing up with it. It does make me worry about like your kids and stuff, Zebes.
Big time. Could you imagine, as you said about those influencers and things like that, could you imagine their screen time? You know, how much they're looking at their phones. And I saw a video recently where LeBron James was walking down the street in LA, and he was dressed in like, he just had a t-shirt on, a pizza t-shirt shirt, or his franchise of a pizza shop. And there's this guy on his phone, and he walks past LeBron, puts out his hand to say hello, like, and your man's just engulfed in his phone, doesn't even look at his head. And it's LeBron James, you know, and it was so... you know, it was so eye-opening. You know, I really hit home at how much people are spending their time on their phones, and how, you know, social media and stuff is very, very dangerous. And it makes me think about my kids a lot, and you know, how on the button you have to be as parents to eliminate these kind of things, because it's very, very dangerous.
It's scary though, even say when you could go into restaurants and like all of a sudden you'd look across and there's children at a table, but they're dead quiet because they're all stuck into their phones. Yeah. And I get, as a parent, it's like anything for a bit of peace, but it's kind of scary. Like, it's just everything is revolved around this tiny little screen. And
I swear I prefer my kids to destroy the place.
Yeah.
You know, I prefer them to get us kicked out of the restaurant than to hand them my phone and turn them into robots. I'd be like, smash them. Sorry, that's the third glass they broke, whatever, you know. But you can't force them to do that. I wouldn't be a big believer in that at all.
With everything we've just spoken about on social media, you know, how can we kind of go about changing these perceptions, you know, getting the messages out to these young girls that like Instagram is not reality? Like, what do we do next?
I think it's just us being people who have any sort of following, even if it's just family and friends, just being realistic with your photos and being honest, and not spending 20 minutes editing every photo. Like, if it's not a nice photo, but like, just get it out there. Like, mums are classics. When your mum's sort of over 60 like mine, her photos are horrendous, and you think, no, you can't trust mum to take a photo. You'll get a video, you'll get the floor, but even that becomes funny as well. So it's just about maybe even restricting how many photos you take. Okay, like, if it's a nice location, let's take a photo, but we're only going to take 3, and we've got to choose one of the 3. Like, we're not spending 30 minutes here trying to get a perfect photo. And just talking about it as well, when people have ups and downs, like when people are regularly say, like, I've had a bad day or I've had a good day because of this. It's just being a bit more honest with each other, and even that's within same families, and not always trying to sort of get one up on people. It's not about, like Dylan said, like comparing yourself to other people constantly. It's sort of just comparing yourself within, and if you've had a better day than yesterday, talk about it.
Spot on. Great point.
Wise.
Very wise, very wise. Well, look, Shauna, on that note, we will let you go. Thank you so much for coming on, and best of luck against France on Friday.
Thank you, Christina. Bye, boys.
Best of luck. Great to meet you.
Bye.
Best of luck at the weekend.
Let's get stuck into it. Hopefully we won't have a little fight, but the RFU did release their Six Nations debrief last week, which has been causing quite a stir from the media and the coaches and ex-players alike. I know Clive Woodward labelled it cringeworthy and scandalous. So Dylan, what did you make of the debrief?
I've just picked up on saying Clive Woodward probably said that it's scandalous and cringeworthy. And I'm a bit pissed off because I read that they consulted external rugby experts and I wasn't consulted, and nor was Clive Woodward by the sounds of it. So who the hell was on that panel? That's what I want to know. Now, the thing with this is every organisation reviews and debriefs and consults, but why I struggle to find, it's almost like society now, we pander to everyone. We feel like we've got to answer to everyone. I don't understand why they've released it. Like, keep it internal. Like, review Eddie Jones, review the performance, set expectations and standards. We all know what they are. It's to win and to high achieve and perform. But don't put it in the public domain. Like, why do we benefit from it? It feels like it's like one comment has said, make it public. And they've gone, oh, we don't want to offend that one guy, so let's make it public. So for me, sitting here, I don't understand why it's kind of, airing your dirty laundry in public. Keep it internal. We don't need to hear it.
A strange call, right? Yeah. But
was it not even stranger, the fact that nobody attached their name to it? Like, is it that, do you reckon that's because they didn't want to be held accountable?
Well, so I'm sat here as a member of the public and a supporter and a fan of English rugby. And it's like, okay, if you're going to put it in the public, then who are the respected rugby consultants that have formed these opinions? And it's just a bit like when you read something about the royal family. It's like, oh, a friend of the family said this, and it's just like put a name to it. Stand by your words. I'm sure if Eddie Jones is going to get that feedback, which he's already got, let's know who it's from. Who are his bosses? Who is he pleasing? Who is he answering to? If it's just like the faceless man, just a bit weird. I don't know. And again, I'm pissed off I wasn't consulted.
You do find a flag for them, to be fair. Good on you.
But okay, so here's the question: why not? Who's been close to that environment? Why not get someone like a recently retired player? Why don't you get a James Haskell? Who else has retired? Geez, just me and him, I think. Someone that's worked with Eddie that understands him, because you might get someone that has a bias that supports him, which I clearly do. But to form a balanced argument or discussion, you need to hear from all parties and understand what's going on. So when I think of external consultants, have they got like Bill Beaumont from 1953 or whatever? I mean, I love you, Bill, but are you getting guys that played in the 80s? I've heard these guys on TV, some of them, they don't know what they're talking about.
Not a clue what they're talking about. The game has passed them by, done laps around them. Yeah.
But even me retiring 2 years ago, I go into camp or I talk to someone in camp and try and understand the game moves on, even from when I played, like the themes and the little nuances of what they're trying to achieve in gameplay. It's like, even me going on telly now, like I'm behind. You need someone current the whole time, someone that's a student. So who are the experts? Like it's weird.
Yeah.
Well, what did you make of one of the reasons for the team's failure was due to the players being fatigued? Now, Sir Clive pointed out that no rugby was played for 5 months straight last year. So how could this kind of be used as an excuse?
I don't want to answer the question because a faceless rugby expert has said that they were fatigued. So I don't think they were fatigued. They came out.
Was that now? Did Eddie himself not come out after some post-match?
How can the Saracens players be fatigued when they haven't played rugby? It's like the opposite. Were they? You know what I mean? Like what argument are we having here? Because everyone was saying they needed game time. So how can you say that a third of the team were fatigued? I think it's all bullshit.
I agree. I think
like I'm looking at our script here. The only thing I want to pick up on is what would I like to see to be done to improve the squad and the management going forward. Like the players need to improve, the management need to improve. That's it. Players need to be better. Coaches need to be better. They've got the cattle. They've got good enough players. They've got good enough infrastructure. They've got all the money in the world. They just need to improve. Competition got better. They need to get better. Strange year. COVID was a bit weird. You might want to look at that as an excuse, but everyone had COVID regulations. Were the English ones slightly tighter? I think they were after talking to a few people. But it's a tournament. There's another tournament next year, as long as we see improvement. And do you know what? This happened when I was involved 2 years in. We won back-to-back tournaments. Third year, we came 5th. Everyone forgets that on the old CV, especially me. And then guess what? I think I've already covered it on here. Players got retired, moved on. Tom Curry emerged. James Haskell retired. Dylan Hartley moved on. Jamie George promoted. That's the cyclical nature of sorry, sound like Mike Tyson there. Nature of performance, like Eddie doesn't have to change. He just has to change up his selections, tweak a few things. There might be a World Cup final. Who knows? Just improve.
Get Sam Simmons into the squad.
Sam Simmons, you reckon?
Yeah, bro. I think he's.
You like him?
I like him a lot. Yeah,
we're big fans of Sam's on this podcast for sure.
Yeah, I'm a fan too. I'm a fan of, but then like people like bang on about Don Brandt, Simmons, and then like Zach Mercer like got an MOM the other day and he's off to Montpellier. It's like everyone wants their favourite players to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. I would feel sorry for Sam Simmons though. He would, going on his form, that man deserves more caps than he has.
Yeah. Oh, you might get him.
Yeah.
He's played a long game and he might be coming. You know what I mean? He might be in the next squad and yeah. That's all I got to say.
Dylan, you are the only one of our panelists that has not yet given us your starting lines 15. So can you fill us all in? Can you enlighten us with who you've chosen?
Well, you on a squad, yeah, not a 15. I've got your squad. I've got options.
I want you starting 15.
Starting 15.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to give you my starting 15, but then my backup man, okay?
Start from fullback with me and then go forward.
Well, shit, forgot about you. Actually, Stuart Hogg /
Yeah,
he's literally probably done like 1 to 8 and then just forgotten about everyone else.
Whoa! Have some respect for a big man. I made notes today, but genuinely, just to keep the Welsh and Irish people and Scottish people very happy, I've selected a squad, and I've picked my 15 out of that squad. So number 1, Mako Vunipola, and Mr. Cian Healy on the backup, because horses for courses and all that. At hooker, Luke Cowan-Dickie and Ken Owens. Luke Cowan-Dickie is my favourite hooker playing the game at the moment. Same. Tight head, Tyg Furlong. And then I want the kitchen sink coming on, throwing it all in. Big Carl Sinclair. At 4, Mauro Toge. At 5, Tyg Byrne. And everyone's wondering where Alan Wynne-Jones is. And he's the backup to Mr. Mauro Toge. Because they're both workhorses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're both annoyingly good workhorses. So, again, like one of those goes injured or you want to bring a like for like on. Very similar grafting players.
Dylan, just to jump in there, so who's your captain?
I haven't even named my team yet. I've got the bloody 5.
I was kind of thinking, were you going to go, Amaro as my captain? So, all right.
Same as my bloody wife, just always butting in.
I know who his captain is.
I haven't even named my captain. Shit. So Mako Vunipola, Luke Cowan-Dickie, Tyg Furlong, Mauro Toge, Tyg Byrne. 6 or 7, I don't care, Tom Curry. 6 or 7, I don't care, Hamish Watson. Number 8, Toby Faletau. Number 9, Gareth Davies. Number 10, Dan Biggar.
Oh,
interesting.
Good shout. Like him, really like him.
12, Robbie Henshaw. 13, George North. 11, Duhan van der Merwe. 14, Anthony Watson. 15, Stuart Hogg. Backed up by Simon Zebo.
Good.
And then, I'm gonna go through some quick names on my secondary squad. Cian Healy, Ken Owens, Carl Sinclair, Alan Wynne-Jones, James Ryan, Sam Underhill, Jamie Ritchie, Tom Curry again at number 8, Danny Kerr, Finn Russell. Like this is my other team, like the game changers, Owen Farrell, Henry Slade, Keith Earl, Simon Zebo, and I love Johnny May. I just love him. I want to see him play for the Lions.
Who's your captain then?
Squad captain, Alan Wynne-Jones.
So we are back with our partners Manscaped, who are the best in below the belt men's grooming, for another installment of Manscaped's Cut of the Week, where we'll ask our panel to pick their best moment from the weekend's action. So Dylan, of all the great rugby we saw over the weekend, what goes down as your Manscaped Cut of the Week?
I only watched one game at the weekend, and it was the England ladies versus France ladies final. Just trying to think of the moment. The French hooker, she was banging people. If anyone's got a question around physicality in the
They're
women's game. Go
unbelievable.
watch this chick. She was knocking people. And Poppy Cleo, who's one of the best number 8s in the world, well, best players in the world at the moment, big PC, known for skittling people, was carrying it. And even she was getting knocked back. This French hooker, I don't know her name. I probably couldn't pronounce it either. But if we can find clips of her banging people rugby pass, buy the rights to it, get top 14 on there. But yeah, that's not even a man, that's a woman's skate.
Women's skate. Yeah. Awesome.
Cut of the week. It's a cut of the week.
No, I just think it's quite apt in terms of we've had Shauna on, and the rugby in the women's game, same rules, same game, played slightly differently, but in terms of physicality, like it's there pound for pound. Like this chick was banging people.
Zeebs, what was yours?
You have to get on social media probably to see this one. It was Josh Tuisova's try at the weekend. Oh my God. It was like, do you remember, you'll know more about this now, but in the old days when the Tuilagi brothers used to play, barring Manu obviously, whether it was Alassane or the number 8.
Henry. Oh
yes,
my gosh.
Henry, where somebody would catch the ball in the backfield and just pop it to him full steam ahead. It was exactly like that. And Tuisova did it to Claremont, and he ran through, I'd say, 6 players. Just one of the boys popped it to him. He had a full head of steam, and it was like the red. Everybody just got out the way.
Was it Route 1 though?
Route 1. Oh, he didn't put on a step. He made maybe one step to accelerate into the line, brushed off 3 tackles. Tim Nanai Williams came up at the end to try and cut across, bounced him off, stepped Raka under the. It was absolutely insane.
No one wanted it, did they?
No, but your man.
Your man. Did you say your man in France?
Your man. I don't know how you'd say it, like in rugby terms.
Your man.
Yeah. Il est pour toi. Yeah,
pour toi, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, class. Well, thanks, guys. And guys, don't find yourselves being left out and join over 2 million men in using the #1 grooming products worldwide. Receive 20% off all their incredible products and free shipping using the code OFFLOAD. Your crown jewels will thank you.